Alright, time for another episode of Let's Find a Suitable Lithium Battery for the Flame Lantern. I already have one candidate here that I pulled out of... What did I pull this out of? Oh, I pulled this out of that weird Energizer battery pack that my boyfriend's work gave him. But I have two other options here. These are battery packs that I don't really use anymore. Now there's this one, and I apologize for these already being kind of opened. I was doing some investigation beforehand and realized that I should be filming it. So here we go again. So I've actually already had one of these open on the channel. I'll try to remember to put a link over here. So this is a lithium battery powered hand warmer. And I was thinking about using this one because it's actually got a pretty chunky cell in it, but I'm not seeing a really convenient way to get the pads off of it, and it also seems like it's glued quite heavily into the package itself. I may come back to this in the future because I do want to see maybe about salvaging these pads and using them for a different purpose. I have a thought about using them to... Let's bring the focus a little bit better in here. Let's not confuse the focus button with the start recording button. Anyway, I've got a thought of using these pads from the hand warmers to create myself sort of a heated soldering surface so that when I have joints that can sometimes be a little stubborn, it'll basically preheat the whole board and thus make stubborn solder joints a little easier to desolder. And I can also use it for loosening adhesive and such on other things. But I'm thinking that this one may not be the best choice, just because it's going to be really difficult to get out of there. So it comes down to this one, which I'm actually worried that I damaged when I pulled it out of the Energizer one, because they had this big thick patch of glue on it. So the cell got a little bit strained. So my last option is this one. Now, I was trying to figure out how to get this one open and ended up breaking it. But basically there's a plate here that holds everything in, and then when you've removed that plate, it just slides right out like that. Now this is also a pretty chunky cell here. This one says it's 14.5 watt hours, 4040 milliamp hours. There's, well, probably one of these numbers indicates the rating of this battery, but I have no idea. And I don't remember what the rating on this battery is, but of course the rating of the battery itself is covered up. So I'm thinking I'm going to go with this one, because although it does have some pretty sticky stuff here, it's not really attached to anything, so it's just coming right off the thing. And then I'll be able to use that sticky tape to attach it to the inside of the flame lantern. And it's fairly low profile, it's got a pretty decent capacity, so I'm going to be going with this one. So I'm just going to quickly desolder it from the package here. Let's go ahead and grab the iron, get this started up. Boop. I'm going to need this, probably going to need the flux, and a desoldering pump, which for some reason I always leave armed. That's really bad for the springs. Don't leave these depressed, because it'll make the spring get squishy and then it won't be as effective. Alright, so the soldering iron has come to temperature. It's one thing I really like about this, it just skyrockets to its set temperature. I think I'm actually going to remove it from the plastic enclosure before I start monkeying around with soldering it. So that's just kind of gently clipped in here. There goes a button. Not that it matters, I'm just going to be throwing it away, so just do that and that. Let's also clear this out of the way by just putting it back in there and set it over here. I'll also set this over somewhere reasonably safe so that it doesn't get shorted out on anything. Now, what we're going to do, I'm actually probably just going to end up putting a couple of strips of Gorilla Tape on the back of that anyway, just to be sure. So we're going to go ahead and desolder this, and the way I'm going to accomplish that is by flowing on a little bit of lead solder, and then just, I'm not even going to need the desoldering tape, so I'm going to do that. If you just heard some thunder in the background there, we're actually on our 11th or 12th day of continuous thunderstorms here. It's very, very unusual weather for this area. We've had more thunderstorms in the past week than I have in 3 years of living here. So there we go. I'm just going to maybe knock a little bit of that excess solder off just by the simple expedient of melting it and then pinging it so that it splatters all over the desktop, but that's kind of what this stuff is meant for. So yeah, I guess this is going to be the battery used for the flame lantern project. So the next stage of this whole thing is going to be me figuring out how to install the electronics into the flame lantern case. So yeah, that'll be the next video. If you haven't already, consider clicking here to subscribe. Right here is a video that YouTube thinks you'll find interesting. Right here is, I guess that's technically a teardown, so I'll put it in the teardowns playlist. And right here is a link to Patreon that you can use to help me get more things to build stuff. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.